Hello everyone, so in this video we'll talk about Radiomaster controller, specifically the ELRS Protocol. And currently, Radiomaster released their latest controller. It's a bit on the upper end of the market, and this is the GX12 Gemini. For this video, we'll talk about 3 of their previous controllers. So we'll talk about the Radiomaster Pocket. This would be the Pocket, the Radiomaster Zorro, and lastly, my favorite, the Radiomaster Boxer. Okay, so all of this, they have their differences in size. Some internal parts that might appeal to you or might discourage you to use. So let's talk about it in this video. The Radiomaster Pocket. This is their budget-friendly version of an ELRS controller, and it has a very small gimbal. This is comparable with the DJI controller, so it's very small. You have a very small screen in front, and some of the trim switches that most of the pilots of drones doesn't use the trim switches, but if you are flying fixed wings, I think this is useful. I don't fly fixed wings, so I cannot say it. And some other menu buttons here, and a roller that is used to control your menu. On the top part, you have your switches. I hope you could see the switches here. And this is the SA button. I reserved this for my arm switch. You got 2 3-way switches here and another 2-way switch, which I reserved for air mode. Now at the bottom of that row, you have a momentary switch. Sometimes I use this for OSD when I'm using HD0 or analog, but most of the time I don't use the momentary switch. I don't have an option. I don't have something in the beta flight that I need to momentarily turn on. Sometimes I don't use this, but it is reserved for that. And this one is a roller, and I reserved this for the Pavo 20 lights so that I don't have any switches left in the Radiomaster Pocket that I could use for the lights. So I just use this roller. So basically, don't have too many buttons with Radiomaster Pocket. It is just this layout. And one thing that you might also consider is the pocketability of the antenna. It's really easy to put this on a small bag, and you could actually remove your sticks. So it's really easy to put on your bag, and you can just bring this up with you, and those sticks is placed on the sides of this controller. Another thing that you might want to look at is the battery size. It is an 18650 battery. So in terms of flight time, it takes a while before it drains the battery. So that is the Radiomaster Pocket. Now let's go with the Radiomaster Zorro. And this is my go-to before when I don't have any controller, especially when I'm using analog. This was my go-to controller. As you can see, it has a bigger gimbal than the Pocket. So this is the Pocket. See the size difference in the gimbal. Okay, and with a bigger gimbal, you have a bigger range. It's not too big and it's not too small, so it's just the right amount of stick range on your gimbal. So you have your trim switches here, and you have a speaker here. Now for the controller, you have a very small roller here, and other module system, and other switches, and some other buttons for the control. This is where it gets different between the Pocket. On the back, you have your switches, but it is a very small switch. See, okay, it has 3-way switches for the top, 2-way switch at the bottom. So I use this switch here as my arm button. This one, I reserve it for air mode, of course. And similar layout. The three-way switches, I use it for flip, beep, and normal flight. Then the other one, I use it for angle mode, horizon mode, acro mode. Those are basically the basic ones. But you have two of this roller here, while for the Pocket you only have one. So you now have one more roller. So you could put this as probably your OSD value, or you could use it for your rate profile. You could do a lot of things with these rollers. So, and at the back you have two momentary switches that you could use for your flight. So you have a bigger screen that could show most of your settings, your ELRS module. You could see it here. You have a better antenna, so it's really easy to hide. You could open this up and put a bigger antenna, so you could actually remove this part, route an antenna that you might want to use if you are flying long range. You could add a different ELRS module. I think this is the Nano, so you could add. This is where the Radiomaster Zorro, I think, is not good, and that is the battery. It only supports 18350 batteries, and this is very small. In terms of flight time, it's quite easy to lower down your battery, which is why it's low battery right now. Look at how small this is. Half the size of the 18650. So there are times, multiple times, that when I'm trying to fly, I lose my battery. So although you have an option to strap a LiPo here, so there's a strap that you could actually it came with the Zorro, wherein you could strap 2S, 3S battery, so it would extend your battery life. But at the sake of making it a bigger controller than it is intended to be. Other thing is, since I'm a pincher, I pinch my throttle, it's quite difficult for me to reach the switches. It is good for thumber. Am I correct? Since you could actually use your index as the finger to flick your switches. So this is great for thumber, but a bit difficult to use if you are a pincher. That is the Radiomaster Zorro. Now, for the Radiomaster Pocket, although I am a pincher, since it is a button, it's easy to press. Unlike with, if it is a switch, it's quite difficult to do so. But since this is small enough to reach these buttons, even though I am a pincher, I'm able to utilize. Now, my favorite one, this is the Radiomaster Boxer. It has a full-size gimbal, and it is small enough to be easy to bring with you compared to the TX16. The TX16 is quite tall. I think it's somewhat this big, and at the same time, with the TX16, you have a lot of switches. Sometimes you don't need those switches. There are too many for that. So for this one, it just has this minimal amount of switches, similar with the Boxer and the Zorro. You have two switches here and two three-way switches. Same layout with the Radiomaster Zorro. I use it this way. There is two roller here that you could actually use, similar with the Radiomaster Zorro, but this time it's in front of you, so if you are trying to use it, it is easy. And you have your 4 trim switches here, okay, that I do not use at all. And you have these buttons here. If you want to see it, let's try to open this up. See that you could pre-configure those buttons for something that is for some commands that you could use for your flights. Okay, you have your roller here, you have your menu buttons at the other side. On the top, you have your, this is just a button, a two-way button. I reserve this for my OSD. I don't use it that much. This is just a momentary switch. What else? There's no other button here. Those are all the buttons that are essential for the flight. Now, for the battery, this is where it gets different between these two, and I think that is one of the good things about the Boxer. And actually, of course, you have the 18650 here. You could use this, or I actually use it with a bigger battery, and this is the Radiomaster. This is quite big. In terms of session, you put it and you forget it. So that is how long the battery lasts. So if you want to have, if you fly a lot, the 6200 milliampere would last you for a very long flights. The problem is it's too heavy, and the Radiomaster is already a heavy controller. Increase your weight. That is one thing that you might need to consider. Also, if you will get this, the stock antenna is quite long, which is why I modify this and I basically put the antenna inside of this controller. So it's a bit streamlined now, small, it doesn't affect the range. Look at how small the Radiomaster Pocket's gimbal is compared with a full-size gimbal with the Boxer. The GX12 also has a full-size gimbal, so it has a similar size such as this one. With this, and if you really need precision, you have a very large room for movements on your controller. See, if you're doing freestyle movements, the bigger gimbal will give you that precision on your movements, so you can do those split-second decision on your flights. Now, when it comes to ELRS, the Radiomaster Pocket and the Zorro only supports up to 250 milliwatt ELRS. The range, although it is 250 milliwatt, it's quite long already. The range is quite long. I don't have lose my signal even probably around 500 meters away, and it only drops if really there is no line of sight. So but it doesn't drop that significantly on a 250 milliwatt. I tell you, sometimes it's too far already, and you're the one who will be anxious enough to go back, especially if your drone doesn't have a GPS. So 250 is already good, but of course it's not yet good enough. So the Boxer is under 1 watt or 1000 milliwatt. So the ELRS here, if you really need range, this has a better range than either the Pocket or the Zorro. So if you really need to fly very, very far, the Boxer will give you that 1 watt of ELRS. And on all of these 3 controllers, only the Radiomaster Boxer has a fan directly above that ELRS module, just to make it cooler. So if you're looking for range, the Radiomaster Boxer will not disappoint you. But if you want more than the Boxer, the GX12 Gemini will give you a better range, since it has a Gemini antenna and 2 of them will work simultaneously. I just do not know the exact science behind that, but if you want range, the GX12 will give you that range. Now, which of these 3 do I use a lot? At the moment, I use a lot of the Radiomaster Pocket because of the sheer size. And sometimes when I bring with me when I'm doing reviews of drones, and I just need a very small bag inside my motorcycle, this would fit that bag. But if size is not a problem, I always go with the Radiomaster Boxer, just because of all the things that you could. Actually, if I am a pincher, the problem with Zorro, it's solved here because of the way that the switches is on top, and it's easy for me to flick it. See? So that is one thing that you might want to consider if you are a pincher. So size is not a problem. The Boxer will be the best fit when I'm doing reviews of drones. The black sheep is the Zorro. for the reason of having a very small battery. And the way it is designed, it's not meant for me because of this switches. But if you are a thumber, it's really easy to use, especially the switches. It's just not meant for me because I don't use my controllers that way. But that doesn't mean that this is not a good controller. This is already a good controller. When all of these are not yet around, I've been using this for all of my flights without any problem, except for the battery. So basically, those are the ELRS controller that Radiomaster that sells that might interest you. So you have a lot of options. You have the TX16. There's another, I forgot, T12, a smaller one than a T16. So there are a lot of controllers on the market that you might want to use, especially with the Radiomaster brand. What I want to emphasize here is use the controller based on your preference and based on how you fly. Try not to settle on one controller you think it's not comfortable enough when you're flying. When you are comfortable with your controller, you will have a better flight experience. And yeah, you may want to check this out, see some other reviews of some YouTubers here, and see for yourself if ever you might want to consider any of these controllers for your next flying session. So we will end the video here. Hope to see you in the next video. Happy flying. Take care. Bye.